I've just done insulin, woman. Hi, I'm Steph. I'm 27. I live in Croydon. Type 1 diabetes is where your pancreas stops working and it doesn't produce insulin. If I don't get it, what from the doctors or there would be a big problem. You can become a bit moody, feel sick. You don't feel very nice when you're high. No, it's not a very nice thing to do. So when I was first diagnosed, I was in year 10 and I did half days because it was just too much of being diagnosed and then going back to school after. It was just too much. So my mum actually got the phone call from the doctor, and I was sitting on the sofa. Don't know what I was doing, but I was just sitting on the sofa, running my own business. And then she ended the call and she said, "Oh, I've got some bad news. You got type 1." So we had to go to the doctors. I think it was the next day, and we got told you have to go home, pack a bag because you're going to be spending. I think I spent 4 days in hospital. Then I had to inject myself. Did some school in hospital, and then came out of hospital. Then when I came out of hospital, I had to tell my neighbours. It was a new thing in my life. We thought to tell the neighbours for them to be aware when they see me, then they can check on me really. So the reason why I got it is because I didn't want to do the night insulin because that can be very painful. And then especially having a mum to do it, that could be even more painful. The pump sort of gives me more freedom because if I pull it out, people don't think it's some medical device. They think, oh, she just pulled out an MP3 player. But then the issue is it's got wire. So if I'm by a drawer in the kitchen or a cupboard, it can be like get attached to the door handle, and especially the banister. It's got a banister by the stairs, and the wire can be attached to that. And when it gets attached, it can sort of tug on your tummy. It's painful. So that's what you press. So where it says bolus is where you press to deliver the insulin. And then basal, if I'm going for a walk or whatever, I would set the temp basal or however long my walk is with mum. And then that would just tell you how the battery and how many units you've got left. Yeah, it tells you a lot of things really. So when you go to airport or anywhere that has security, it can't go through the body scanner. So if it does go through the body scanner, it would do something bad to it. So if I went through a body scanner, I'd have to detach it from my tummy, and then it'll go round the outside of the body scanner, and it'll meet me at the other end. But most people don't understand what it is. When me, mum, and dad were going to New York. I think we went via Gatwick Airport, and they treated me like a criminal. So even with a letter, they still wouldn't. They still wanted an argument. So the letter would explain what it is and why I have it. So the fact that it can't go through the body scanner, they have to meet me. Some people don't understand. So if I'm out and about, some people could. So I've had people say to me, "You're diabetic. You shouldn't be eating that." Well, you can eat it, but to normal people, they don't have to bother with insulin because their pancreas works. But as my pancreas doesn't work, I'd have to take insulin. So I can eat whatever I want. I just have to take insulin. And that's what really annoys me about people. They they don't they don't have the right information, and they jump to conclusions about what people with type 1 diabetes can or cannot eat, and they just need to be educated. Simple. So I've got a sensor on my arm, and I've got an app, so I can use it on my iPhone. And rather than using the scanner that came with the sensor, I can scan it with my iPhone on the app. Also, my mum has an app which she can also check. So don't want to be rude. So if I'm out and about and my blood sugars are a bit high, I can I can sometimes get messages from mum on WhatsApp saying, blood sugars are a bit high, insulin please. So half time the sensor works or it cannot work. So yeah. Or maybe if it doesn't work, it's because I've probably slept on it like a funny way. Or sometimes just be a dodgy one that doesn't work. And if it's dodgy, then you have to do a whole new one. But then if you knock it off, you have to do a new one anyway. Shaky, bit sweaty. I have a saying where I can eat a horse. I won't literally eat a horse. I've never eaten a horse, but that's a saying that I normally say to mum and dad. But so that they'll know. So when I say I can eat a horse, is where we have a big lunch, but then add more things to it. That's how hungry I am. And if I'm hypo, then I'd carry some sugar. I could be either I found jelly babies work, or dextrose, which are like tablet form. They work. Orange juice. Um, so if I'm in the kitchen at home, I can talk for England. So talk for England is where you can non-stop talk, like non-stop talk, and mum can tell my blood sugars are high. She'll be like, "You've non-stop talk," and I'm like, "Oh, have I?" And also ketones. So if I'm in the kitchen with mum and say she's here, I'm here. It doesn't take how far of a distance I'm away from mum. She can tell I've got ketones. So ketones are like pear drop sweets. So if you're with someone and you can smell pear drops, it's not because they've eaten the pear drops, it's because they've got ketones. And ketones are very dangerous. So I've had ketones before, and blood sugars have been high as well. And I've thrown up about 3 or 4 times in one day. Tried to get in touch with the hospital, the diabetes department, but no answer. Mum could have had a choice of taking me into hospital and spend, you don't know how long you'll be waiting in the A&E department, or stay at or try and keep me at home. So she kept me at home, which I think was a really good idea because you don't really want to go to hospital. Oh, it's a good thing to go to hospital, but then you don't know how long you have to wait. I've had so many seizures, I can't remember what number it was. There was one time where I had a seizure, and it was my parents' wedding anniversary, and we were at home. And I was on my computer, probably eating dinner, watching something as well. I don't remember calling mum up, but apparently I shouted at mum, saying I don't feel well. All I could hear was her run up the stairs like Usain Bolt. That's how fast she ran up the stairs. I was still sitting at my desk chair, right? On the desk chair as well. She tried to get me to my bed, but my legs weren't having it. So I think I had mum this side, dad that side. Because I'm a big person, and for mum to try and manage me by herself wouldn't have worked. So two people trying to get me from the desk chair to the bed. So the bed was desks here, bed's there, so not that far. But my legs didn't want to do it. So I fell, had a seizure on the floor. But then when my dad, I think, yeah, so my dad phoned the ambulance. It's because when I was lying on the floor, mum tried stroking this arm, couldn't feel it. And then when I smiled, my left side wasn't there. So mum thought, okay, best to phone an ambulance. So we did. And there was a St. John's ambulance guy who came in his car. He was actually quite nice. But then it was a second St. John's ambulance who didn't know why he got called. And he said, oh, the reason why you had a seizure is, I guess, oh, no, it's because he asked, oh, they have to ask whether I had any other health conditions when I've had my seizures. And whenever I've had my seizures in the past, blood sugars have always been good. But for that day, they were a bit high. But when I've had my seizures, they've not been diabetes related. And they could be any emotion, really. Stress, angry, any emotion. And then the guy said, I think it's because mum checked my blood sugars you on the app that she has, and she realised that they were a bit high. And he said, oh, you've had a seizure because your blood sugars were high or something like that. And I felt a bit judged by the second St. John's ambulance. So he left because he didn't know why he was called. And then the first guy stayed. He was actually quite nice. But he didn't want me. So he wanted me to go to hospital because after 5 years not having one, it's best to go to hospital. But he was in a car, so he didn't want me to travel in his car, me to have a seizure again. So he stayed at up with us at home to wait for a proper van. Everyone was fine. So I was getting a bit judged because my blood sugars were high when I had my seizure, and I felt a bit judged. Um, the eye check is good because is very important because you can become blind, and you don't really want to become blind, and you have to have your feet checked, because if you lose sensation in your feet, you can have your legs amputated, and you don't really want that. Being judged. So if I need to inject insulin because either my blood sugars are too high or my cannula's fallen out, people might look at you and think, oh, that person's taking drugs, whereas I know I'm not, but people don't. They can jump to conclusions. They'd rather be ignorant than come and ask. Do your research before you think, oh, she's injecting herself. She must be injecting herself with drugs.